welcome to Mindfulness Lists. The next section is called The Illusion of Ownership. Starts off, and as I said, this is the second chapter, The Illusion of Ownership. So he starts off, he says, to own something, what's it really mean? What does it mean? I think it's important. I think just balance. Balance is good, because what I've realized is that there's needs and then there's wants, and there's things that we definitely need, and it's obvious. Food, love, and shelter, and whatever else is a necessity. And then there's wants, and those are just things that we want, which we should have. We are here, and we should, should is the wrong word. We can have some nice things. It's not something that we should have nice things. That sounds like whatever. It sounds like I'm demanding things. But there are nice things to be had, and that's fine. But I think the suffering comes in when we get confused about ownership of these things, houses and stuff. I'll tell you a story. I was in a partnership with my mom and her boyfriend. And long story short, things went south. We had a good business and we lost some money during the recession. And I don't know what happened, but something, you know what happened? This is what happened. I'm sorry, just deal with me. What happened was I was aware at the time that of the more important things in life. And once you go through some stuff, you'll realize this. But if you haven't been through life, it might, I'm sure things happen at different times in your life. So what has happened to me in my life was I lost a brother when I was about 30 years old. And that really, it was the hardest thing that had ever happened to me and my mom and my dad. It was very hard. He was very young, and it sucked. And so, as I was talking about in our last section, the lost ring, sometimes when you lose things, there's a gain. And I lost my brother, yet there was something to be gained there. And what I realized is the most important thing in the world is health. It doesn't matter what you have. You can be rich, and there's rich people, you see them all the time, really rich people, and they die. The Apple dude, whatever that guy's name is, Jobs, you could be rich and doesn't matter. You can die. So putting things in perspective and being aware that health is where it's at. But ownership, owning things, it's good. Things are nice. I definitely want the necessities, but you don't need more than you need. Don't get me wrong. I like luxury. I like eating good food. I don't want to be living out of a shopping cart. I don't want to be camping. That's tough. That's really tough. But on the other hand, the other extreme, being ultra rich, and maybe it'd be cool. I would totally give it a shot, and it would be probably awesome if you inherited it, so you don't have to, you didn't have to work your butt off for it. But in that case, you probably wouldn't know the value of things, so you really wouldn't. Let's say you went to school and you have a pretty nice life. That's cool. The other extreme, just like you went to school and you're working your butt off and you have a really nice life, but you're just kind of get lost in these things. You have this ultra life, and I don't know, you just see it all the time. It's the writings on the wall. You see people who have it all, Michael Jackson, whoever, these very extremely rich people, and it's not enough. And it's just the writing's on the wall. It's, those things, having, the wants, having wants. I prefer to call them needs and wants. Having things, everything that you ever wanted. There's that I hate to say airy fairy things like that, like this, but there's the Persian curse, when all your wishes are granted, your dreams will be destroyed. You don't need all that stuff. You don't need all that stuff. If you have everything you ever wanted, you just have nothing to aspire to. I think the necessities are good, and then every now and then the icing on the cake, it's good. But it constantly happens. You see it. You have something that you want, and then you get it, and then it's just like you're over it. Like you can watch yourself do it, but it's a lot easier to watch little kids do it. They're like all stoked about something, and you're going to Magic Mountain, and then they're at Magic Mountain, and it's, I'm too hot. I want to go home, And that's what we're like as well. You get what you want, and then you want something else. I don't know. It's been said, the cure for desire is gratitude. How could you cure desire? It's simple. Just be cool with what you have. Be thankful for what you have. And it's okay to want more. I find myself, I'm kind of OCD, so a lot of times I really want to downsize. I get overwhelmed. I don't know what it is. Too much stuff, too much clutter. I just feel like I can think better when I just have stuff streamlined. Just the necessities. That's all we need. You don't need a bunch of crap. You don't need 50 pairs of shoes and all this stuff. You mainly need, of course, probably the first thing, food. You need shelter, and you definitely need love. We need each other, for sure. And then a little bit of icing on the cake, and that's it. I don't like preaching to the choir. You guys know this. But I just wanted to cover that section. Anyways, something that Eckhart Tolle says in this part, or no, it was the last part. Anyways, I'll tell you something that he said in the last part. He talks about the joy of being, and maybe just the joy of being, being aware of yourself. That's just something that's priceless right there. Just being aware of it. Being aware of how precious this time is right now. You might, sometimes we take it for granted. It's easy to take for granted, to think that, we've got endless time. And we probably do. I just believe in direct experience. One time, I'm kind of going off the point here, but I'll say it since I brought it up. But one time I did dimethyltryptamine, DMT, and a lot of people, it's the active ingredient in ayahuasca. And what I experienced, I went out of my body, and it seemed like I was dead. And there definitely was something after, though. So I had that experience, and it was like I died, and there was something after death. But regardless, if I hadn't had that experience, I've said before, I feel like we have this kinetic energy inside of us, and it's like if you're holding a rock inside of your hand. The way that I can see it best is I love dogs. Dogs are my favorite thing in the world. And the thing that's so awesome about dogs is you could see their little personalities. They don't cover up their stuff at all. They'll sit there and clean themselves right in front of you, sit there and lick their butt right in front of you. They just got no shame in their game. They are so awesome just to be so real like that. And so you see their little personalities, and that's energy right there, just that pure energy. Kids are probably like that too. They're very, they don't really edit themselves. They're very real. They'll just say what they think, whether you like it or not. My daughter does it all the time. And that type of, you see that energy that's in different dogs, different children, in us as well, our unique personalities and stuff. And that's energy. And that energy, I don't know where it goes. I don't even want to postulate on it. Well, I guess I will postulate on it. I think it's like a rock that we're carrying in our hand. And when that energy is released, it takes the path of least resistance to wherever. I don't think, I believe, I believe in science. So, pick up a rock and drop it, and that's maybe where you go. Maybe you go to the ground of somewhere. I don't know. I apologize to do that. I don't want to create more questions. I want to give solutions. And back to the point, the illusion of ownership. We don't own anything, really. We don't own anything. Probably the only thing that I would ever want to possess is just being aware, since you can't own anything, really. We're just borrowing it for 80 years or so. But to be aware for 80 years and to hold on to that awareness the whole time, that's something that you could always hold on to, something that's will last your entire life. It doesn't matter. It'll never get old. One of my oldest memories in my life was when I was 3 years old, is the thing that I can remember the furthest back. And I told my mom and my grandma, we would go and pick up my grandma from work every day. And we went and picked her up, and I would hide in the back seat and scare her. So I was in the back seat. I probably jumped out and scared her, or, she pretended like she was afraid so she could, so I would be happy. So I told my mom, I said, a man only has to be 3 years old in order to take care of himself. And my mom was like, yeah, right. Whatever, wipe the chocolate off your face, buddy. And the strange thing about it is that it seems like it was just yesterday. That's my oldest memory. It was, that was 41 years. No. That was 45 years ago. My oldest memory in my life. And the thing about it was the awareness that was there, that thought about that thing. Like, I remember having the thought, I thought, I really can handle myself well enough. I really don't need my grandma and my mom anymore. Yet my mom still helps me to this day. And I thought, yeah, I'm a man. I could do this. And the same awareness that formulated that thought is the same awareness that is functioning in me at this moment, creating these words that are coming out of my mouth, these thoughts that I'm turning into sentences. It's the same awareness. And that's probably, we don't own it, definitely don't own it, but it's something that has remained the same all the way through my life, and I know it'll be the same all the way until I die. And that's pretty that's something that's like something that is unchanging. That awareness, it's unchanging in our lives. But thinking about owning some stuff, it's futile. We got to give it back. We're just living on borrowed time. Eventually, time is an angel or devil, best friend or worst enemy. Great joy